I feel like every eldest daughter is an overachiever to some sense. For me, I feel like I fall under toxic overachieving. And I was thinking back why I grew up that way. And if I'm being really honest with myself, I think it might have started with my parents, but they didn't make it toxic. They just, had high expectations. They're like, we would like for you to do well in school, we would like for you to have good grades, all of that. But then somehow, somewhere along the way, I twisted it into if I'm not getting these good grades, if I'm not doing well, then I am trash. It got really dark at some point. But, we've grown, thank God. And luckily, now that it's been 5 years since I've gotten out of that mindset, I have some notes that I took. So, welcome to the notes from a former toxic overachiever. I'm still an overachiever to some extent, but not as much as I used to be. So, number one, you will be exactly where you need to be. I feel like a majority of the stress that came from school was because I was afraid that I didn't know where I would end up. I was afraid that I would end up somewhere that I didn't want to be. Like I had this specific goal of I had to go to this university and then get a job right afterward. And if I didn't follow that path, I was a failure. But now here I am. Things went the way that they were supposed to go, and I am genuinely happy with my life. I don't hate my life. And with that pause made it sound like I hate my life. I don't hate my life. There are some changes that I would improve, but that's irrelevant. But if I could go back to younger me, I would try to tell her, hey, can you please calm down? You are hurting your body by thinking this much. You will be exactly where you need to be. Trust me, it will all end well. The second thing is that what you're doing right now will not matter in 3 years. I cannot tell you how many things I forgot in high school. Heck, college. The only thing I remember are the most memorable things that were like something crazy happened. Everything else, I don't know what happened. If someone were like, "Oh, do you remember that we did this in high school?" If it wasn't a big thing, I'm genuinely gonna be like, "Nah." You'd have to tell me the whole story from beginning to end, and even then, we'll have to see if that jogs my memory. It really is so insignificant because inshallah your life is going to be so long. That's going to be one page in a book. So irrelevant. Next thing, there's a fine line between ambition and killing yourself over it. I would say that I'm a pretty ambitious person. I want to do a lot of things in life. When I was younger, I would also say that I was pretty ambitious. However, I would get to a point where if I did not do something, I would not be able to eat, drink, or sleep. Now make that make sense. If you don't eat, drink, or sleep, you will hurt yourself, possibly die. And then how are you supposed to follow your dreams, your goals, and continue to be ambitious? Hello? You know what? Younger me was dumb, stupid. It's okay, we grow. That's what time is for. There's hindsight. I wish hindsight was a thing during that moment, but hey, what can you do? Next thing, your achievements add to who you are. They are not your entire identity. If I were to go up to someone and ask them, hey, who are you? No one's gonna say, yeah, I'm a 5-time Nobel Peace Prize winner or something like that, unless you're like cocky or something or really confident. They would say like, oh, my name is so and so, I do this for a living, I like this and that, I have these hobbies, I do this in my free time, I work here, whatever. Like, no one's gonna talk about their achievements straight off the bat unless they're extremely famous, and even then people aren't like that. They add to who you are, they're not your entire identity. And that is something I really had to learn post high school, because I felt like that if I wasn't getting the best grades, if I wasn't the top of my class, then I was a failure. And like, I would just write really awful stuff about myself. Mind you, no one cared. I didn't like. Looking back now, I'm like, Miss Keen. No, like no one cares. People see you for who you are, not for your achievements, unless they're like terrible people and terrible friends. Like, no one cares about what you've done to that extent, unless you're like a terrible person. Like, no one really cares. Those achievements are for you. They're, I don't know, it's like a vanity thing, but they add to who you as a person is. It's not supposed to be your entire identity. You're not a trophy. You are a person that is multifaceted, and all of your accomplishments are a part of that. Next thing, give yourself the same kindness that you give others. If I need to shake my younger self, because the way that, like, say someone failed a test, right, and they would be so sad, I'd be like, no, it's okay, there's always next time, you'll do better next time, I know you will, you're very smart, maybe you were just really stressed out, or like you have like those, what's it called, test anxiety. But if I would never give myself that exact same grace. If I failed, boom, I suck, I'm the worst, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, why can't I be like the other girls, they're always so much better, I need to do better. I would say such terrible things about myself. And I know this thing, like, you are your own worst critic, and that is so true, but it's so annoying, especially when you're at such a young age, like, what, 13, 14, 15, at such a young age when you're still learning and developing. It doesn't help that the environment wasn't exactly conducive to being really kind to yourself. Everything was really go, fast paced, so either you did well or you were eaten by the wolves. I'm fine. Next thing, no one cares about your achievements. If I'm being really honest, I had this one friend who's gotten a lot of trophies. If I'm being so honest, I probably remember like 2 of them. That's probably, and she has a bunch. It's not that I don't care that she won. It's like, oh great, like, I'm so happy for you, but like, I'm gonna forget about it within the next month. Heck, I don't even remember the trophies I got. Heck, I think, I'm not even gonna lie, I think some of them are gone or broken or something, because I had them when I was like 11, I had them when I was a little kid, and there used to be, I think they were like with my parents or something in their own place. We moved, I don't know where they are. Like, they're not that big of a deal. They really aren't. They're probably I wouldn't say they're the least important, the least interesting about you, but they're not like all the way up there, especially stuff that you did at school. No. Trust me, no. It's okay to be bad at something. I need that advice written on a brick and thrown at my head as a kid. I hated being bad at something. I still kind of hate being bad at something, but not as much. Like, if I fail, I'm like, all right, I can ask someone for help. I don't really care. But I still would like to, get things done on my own. Back then, if I couldn't get it done first try, I was like, that's it. I suck. I fail. I don't know why I would even do this. It's not worth it. I'm absolutely terrible. This is useless. I would hate myself for not knowing how to do something that I've never tried before. Like, looking back on these notes, everything is just so, like, it's so dumb. Like, my thought process was so messed up. Of course you're not gonna get it first try. How could you? You've never done it before. And the whole point of learning something new is to see yourself progress over time. See how you learn, how you've done, how much you've grown from the beginning to the end. When you look back on it, you're like, oh my god, I did so much, I learned so much, I grew so much, I changed so much. That's the whole point. That's what hindsight is for. You're looking back at yourself and you're like, wow, I grew up so much. If you got it right the first try, like, that's kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie, that would be so cool. But then it's like, okay, you got it, on to the next, I guess. Now, my last piece of advice for toxic overachievers is that you can always try again. When you try something new, it's not one and done. You can try again. As long as it's not something huge and massive that could possibly negatively impact someone, you can try again, whether it's a test, whether it's a hobby, whether it's, I don't know, I'm like blanking right now, but like, you can pretty much try many things all over again. I think for me, the reason why I felt like I never could try again was because, again, we're going back to high school, tests and exams. I feel like once you complete a test, you can't, in my mind, you can't retake a test and do the same thing again. You have to move on. But in this situation, technically you can try again with the next test. You know what the first test is like, you know what the format is like what type of question the teacher will ask. Okay, now you're going to practice, study, and do it again for the next test. You can improve. It's not just a one and done type of thing for the most part, inshallah. If you couldn't try again, I genuinely feel like a lot of things in this world would go up in flames. A lot of things. But yeah, those are all of my notes from a toxic overachiever. My, former toxic overachiever. I really wish I could go back to past me and give her a hug, but I hope she can have the warm thought that, hey, future you's doing all right. If anything, you're living the life that you've always wanted. Trust me. You will do fine. You will do great. And you'll be exactly where you need to be. Happy and healthy, inshallah. Alright. Assalamualaikum. See you in the next one.